Let's go. Line number 1. Hello, Tony, around the air.
How are you, Paddy?
I'm all right, Tony. Boy, you?
Oh, not bad at all.
Good.
See, your Habs pulled off one last night.
Habs look good, man.
Yeah. Toronto won again last night, too, as well.
Yeah, 4-0. Well, the Leafs look pretty good, I have to say. And I mean, I was shocked that Leaf fans wanted Reimer so badly to be the starter when clearly Bernier is the player. Anyway.
Oh, he is. He's the number one goalie. But, yeah, phone, I just wanted to say, I mean, the big announcement yesterday of another great project out in that area. I mean, attached to the Bull Arm as well. I mean, it's really great to see thousands of jobs going out there now, and it's going just going to long term. After the job is finished, then it's going to be 250 full-time jobs. Yeah,
I guess the important statement to make here, too, because you're a well-renowned PC supporter, is that the government's got nothing to do with it.
Well, I mean, they had to get
nothing.
Yeah, but they had to sign the contract to get this, get the royalties and the equity shares in this.
Big deal. I mean, that
means everything. If you didn't have to get royalties or equities, you wouldn't have no money coming in.
You could hire a downtown law firm and let them negotiate it. This is not a time for the government to blow their own horn. I never understand that stuff. This is an investment by a private sector company that they found something. They have the initiative to go and do some expansion of White Rose. It's got nothing to do with the government. The government is the beneficiary of it, not the architect of it.
Yeah, but if you didn't have anybody there to negotiate this and get the equity shares out of it,
anybody could do it. Anybody could do it.
Yeah, but okay, anybody could have done it.
That's right.
But before this one the government got in there, this Hibernia deal that they're going on now in Bull Arm, they were going to cancel. They couldn't get no companies in here when the Liberals were in government. And if you can recall, this was the big story on TV, and that the fact that Roger Graham himself said, I mean, they probably had to cut the royalties in order to get the companies in here. So we wouldn't have got no royalties at all. The only thing they were going to do is try and get a few jobs. And the fact at the time when they were
Something's about the price of a barrel of oil, though. Once again, you're not talking about government being proactive for any masters of business or anything. We are talking about timing in the global market. I mean, the government, look, good for the government to negotiate whatever we can get for royalties.
But
some people, what?
They fought for this. I mean, they fought for, like one day when Danny was doing the deal and this government was doing the deal with the same thing with the Hibernia deal. I mean, it was the same thing. I mean,
you mean Hebron?
Hebron deal. I mean, they went away for 18 months, and the Liberals come down there, and the supporters come down saying, just sign for a few jobs. I mean, there was it's just like, forget about the equity shares and forget about the royalties, let's get the jobs.
Yeah, I mean,
now we're getting equities, now we're getting the royalties, and this is where the big money's coming from.
Some people don't agree with the equity position in Hebron, though, is all the same, and there is a conversation to be had about that. But when Husky decides that they're going to expand to extend the life of the White Rose field, government should have a very hard time patting themselves on the back for it. Getting the royalties, my God, sure, as far as that goes, compared to some other jurisdictions and royalties in the offshore or oil development period, we're behind. So, I mean, the government should be careful here when they do this kind of stuff, because it doesn't make them any better than anybody else to have had a private sector company willing to invest the money to go get more oil. I mean, it's not a government issue.
No, but they brought them in here. I mean, they're getting them in here now, which they couldn't get before. We were giving it all away, and we would have given it all away.
What oil have we given away?
I mean, we signed contracts here with hardly any royalties whatsoever, and they were going to give it away. They were going back to cancel royalties pretty much because it was just to get a few jobs.
Give me a specific example.
Well, they couldn't get no contracts in here. I mean, when he was in office, I mean, last year or so he was in office, he came out and said that the fact that he was going to probably have to cut the royalties because he couldn't get any companies in here.
It's hard to compare those times, though, isn't it? I mean, here was the problem. Well, it is, of course it is.
No,
it's the price of the resources. It was the financial state of the province, the desperate need for jobs. We would have given away all kinds of things to get a few jobs. Why? Because we were starving for some jobs. Now, times are booming.
Yeah, because you know why? When they went in, was just as hard when they took over.
Come on, man. I mean,
when they took over, there was no jobs. There was no jobs and there was no jobs and there was cuts. And they went in and they fought the companies. They weren't going to get away with resources.
This is the kind of stuff that the PCs are going to come back and it's going to bite them in the ass. Because it is not legitimate to tell me that the PCs are the only people who could have negotiated a royalties agreement with Husky and White Rose Extension. It's simply not.
With the Long Harbour deal, I mean, when the Liberals done the deal, the only thing they had, there was no guarantees of any jobs here in Newfoundland and Labrador for the people here. The only thing they had in there was they had to consider the people here. There were no guarantees whatsoever. And when they missed their deadline of getting in there, the PCs had an opening and they put in there that they had to guaranteed jobs for this province. That's the only way they got in there. Liberals never had a thing in there to protect the jobs for this province. And that's what I'm saying. And now it's the same thing with Muskrat Falls. that everybody was on this morning fighting about Muskrat Falls, and where is the money going to come from? The same place the money is coming from now is paying the light bills, just paying for the same expenses that we're paying now.
You got no issues with Muskrat Falls, Tony?
No, but I think it's a great deal overall. I think it's a great deal. I think this is a great deal. I think we're going to have this, and I think it's going to be a great deal. But I don't understand when people just complain about it. They're saying we don't know nothing about it, and some of the people that's running. They don't know nothing about it, and yet one day they're against it, and the next day they're for it. I hear Danny Dumas out with you the other day saying we should keep this power and develop it here for our own use. Now, he was against it all along, and he wouldn't have nothing to do with it. He wanted a company to come in. In fact, he wanted to sell it to Quebec and turn around and pay 5 cents for us to buy the power from Quebec.
But Tony, my God, the political spin for a layperson is really extraordinary. At some point, there's a point of no return where if the project is going to proceed, then there's still conversations about what is the best approach. I mean, and there is. Same thing. Wouldn't you like to know the terms of the Emera and Nalcor deal to present to the UARB? Wouldn't you like to know some of the issues about the SNC-Lavalin contracts? Wouldn't you like to know a variety of things that we can't get answers to? Like, would you like to know about the assessment of the geotechnical work at the North Spur, how much it's going to cost? Wouldn't you like to know these things?
Well, when Dwight Ball, he was against this all along.
I don't care about that, Tony.
What I'm saying is this. When he stepped down, he wanted the power to be kept here. He didn't care about the...
Who cares?
He didn't care about the Nova Scotia deal.
Dwight Ball is in opposition. It doesn't matter. With all due respect to Mr. Ball and everyone else in an opposition party in the country, it kind of doesn't matter what they're saying. But what matters is the questions that I just asked you as a really clear Tory supporter. Wouldn't you like to have the answer to those questions? They're important and we can't get the answers. And why is that? And is that bad for Newfoundland? My suggestion is it is.
Because right now, I mean, we're developing this number one for our power. That was the big goal from the beginning. And according to the Liberals, which wants to be the next government, they wanted this kept in here. And according to Dwight Ball, he wasn't against Muskrat Falls. He wanted the power developed here. And then after he got in, the first one they had, he attacked Cathy Bennett and said he wanted. In fact, he was against Muskrat Falls, and he don't understand why she was supporting it. So I mean, you can't be all over the place. These are people that you look across. I'm
not all over the place. I'm very consistent, you are is not answering any of the questions. The most ardent PC supporters, they cannot and will not, certainly from 2 to 4 weekdays, can't just tell me how great they are when I ask you a question about what they should be disclosing that they're not disclosing. And I know that all the Bill 29 stuff, half of it is complete hokum. There's an Energy Control Act that governs Nalcor and Muskrat Falls. People make that mistake all the time. Who cares? But some of the legit questions I ask you, you got no answer. That's because the political spin is overtaking the reality of the questions and the demand for the friggin' answers.
It's not, because I think, to me, I think this is a great deal. And I think it is. Yeah. And I mean, I really do. And I mean, most of the people I hear about, they're right for it.
I asked you some legit questions. That's it. That's all I'm saying. I don't care. The fact that you have an opinion on the deal.
No, it thinks it's a great deal.
You're telling me what I think?
No, I'm saying I hear you saying you think it's a great deal before.
When have you ever heard me say that?
I heard you before saying you were in favor of this because you thought it was a good deal.
If you can point to where I ever said Muskrat Falls is a great deal, I'll give you $1,000.
Well, I can't get.
I'll give you $1,000.
And but I mean,
you know why my $1,000 is safe? Is because I never said it. There are risks associated with Muskrat Falls, clear and evident, and that's fine. But when we question the risks, we're due and we deserve an answer. That's all it's to. You know why? Because I'm paying for it. Nalcor's not paying for it, and the government's not paying for it. I'm paying for it. So if I'd like to know a few particulars about the deal that I'm buying and paying for, I think it's legitimate to want to see the info.
But every time you had a question you had now it's Nalcor, didn't they come on and answer for you?
We have a few that are pending right now we can't get an answer to. I want to know, first, if I have one question, those of you at Nalcor listening right now, and they are, what did you discover in your geotechnical work at the North Spur? Now, I'm not going to say that it is, oh my God, it's never going to be able to hold, people downriver are just going to drown, but everyone knows it's a potential issue. What's the result of the geotechnical work and how much you think it's going to cost? And compare that to what you had in the budget to address the North Spur. I think that's a legit question. Why? Because I'm paying for it.
Yeah, and they probably get back to you.
Hopefully so.
And
When they do, Tony, I got to go to the break. I'll give you 5 seconds.
But everything you asked them in the past, and I mean they've been on every talk show, just on open line, night lines, everything else. Yeah. They accommodated you. And Jerome Kennedy was on there, and Ed Martin was on there, and he was on your shows, and they were on morning shows. They were on all over.
I have never said that they have been hiding from me. Martin has been free with his time. He's answered the questions. We have some new questions. We also have questions about Amera and the Nalcor deal with the UARB. These are all real. These are not making them bad people or calling them out or trying to shame them. We just have legitimate questions about the biggest capital investment in the history of the province. That's all.
I know.
It's not partisan. It's real. I have a mailbox. I'm going to get a bill. I'd like to know.
Neither am I. I mean, I got to pay the bill as well as you.
Yes, I know. Tony, listen, I always enjoy the chat, but I got to go to the break.
Yeah, and just one last thing. I just got to say, but Bill 29.
Oh,
I mean, Bill 29.
What?
I mean, you got the people out there now, the leaders coming out of the Liberal Party running for the Liberals, but yet they're criticising the Bill 29, but a lot of people don't know it's 50, but yet they won't come out and disclose where they're getting the money to for their campaign.
We've already called them out on that, and I think it's a mistake. The party set them up for disaster. I think it's a terrible decision by the Liberal executive.
Yeah, and yet they're turning around everybody else hiding, and here they are hiding their own finances, so we'll go to show if you ever got in power what you would do.
You got your partisan shot in. I appreciate the call, Tony. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too, buddy.
All the best. Bye-bye.